If you're a man over 60 and you've noticed you're waking up multiple times at night to use the bathroom, or it takes longer than it used, to get your stream started, stop for a moment and listen to me, because the truth is, it might not just be old age, it could be the small, everyday habits you barely notice, the ones that seem harmless, slowly putting more and more strain on your prostate. And if you don't change them, things can get worse, faster than you think. I've seen this story play out with hundreds, no, thousands of men in my 35 plus years as a urologist. They sit down in my office, lower their voices, and say, "Doc, I thought this was just part of getting older, but lately, it's getting a lot harder to deal with." And I understand that feeling, because it's not just about your health. It's about your confidence, your comfort, your ability to live life without being tied to a bathroom schedule. And sometimes, it even affects the connection you have with your partner. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 worst habits I see most often in older men. Habits that keep the prostate under constant pressure, leading to frequent trips to the bathroom, difficulty starting urination, or that heavy, uncomfortable feeling in your lower abdomen. The surprising part, when men remove these habits from their daily life, many notice a difference almost immediately. And there's one particular habit I'll be sharing at the very end of this video, a silent culprit that's brought countless patients back to my office. You absolutely don't want to miss it. Before we dive in, I want you to know, I'm not here to scare you or tell you to overhaul your entire life overnight. I'm here to guide you through small, realistic changes that can have a big impact on your prostate health. And if this is your first time here, my name is Dr. William Harris. I'm a urologist, and my mission is to help men over 60 protect their health, maintain their vitality, and keep their confidence strong. If topics like this matter to you, consider following this channel. That way, every week when I share a new tip, you'll be the first to know. So are you ready to uncover the everyday habits that quietly harm your prostate and learn how to replace them with healthier ones? Let's get started. All right, let's get into it. We'll start with the habit I see most often, and it's one that almost every man I meet admits to, even if they don't realize it's harming their prostate. Let's start with one of the most overlooked habits, not drinking enough water, or drinking it at the wrong time. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But over the years, I've seen how this one small thing can quietly wear down a man's prostate health. Here's what happens. When you don't drink enough water, your urine becomes more concentrated. That means it's more acidic, more irritating to the urinary tract, and more likely to inflame the prostate. Think of it like this. If your lawn doesn't get enough water, it becomes dry, brittle, and unhealthy. Your urinary system is no different. Without enough fluid flushing through it, irritation builds up. On the other hand, I've also met men who try to make up for it by drinking most of their water late in the evening. The problem? This can lead to multiple bathroom trips at night, disrupting your sleep and putting your bladder, and by extension, your prostate, under repeated stress. I remember one patient, Tom, 72 years old. He prided himself on being good about hydration, except he drank nearly all of his daily water. Between dinner and bedtime, every night, he was up 3, sometimes 4 times, and by morning he felt drained. Once we shifted his water intake, earlier in the day, his nighttime trips dropped in half, and he felt more rested and more in control. So here's what I recommend. Aim for about 1.5 to 2 liters of water a day, but spread it evenly from morning until late afternoon. Slow down your intake after dinner, and avoid heavy caffeine or alcohol in the evening. Both can irritate the bladder, and remember, clear or light yellow urine is usually a good sign that you're hydrated. You might be thinking, well, Doc, that sounds easy enough. And you're right, it is. But the truth is, many men still don't do it. They either forget, or they avoid drinking to reduce bathroom trips, not realizing they're setting their prostate up for more problems in the long run. And here's the thing. If you think this habit is quietly working against you, wait until you hear the next one. It's something found in almost every kitchen, on almost every plate, and it's even more damaging to your prostate than poor hydration. Stick with me, because this one might surprise you. Now, let's talk about something that might be sitting on your plate right now. Spicy food, salty snacks, and those rich, greasy meals loaded with saturated fats. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy a flavorful meal as much as anyone, but over The years, I've seen how a steady diet of these foods can quietly work against your prostate health. Here's the science in plain terms. Foods high in saturated fats and excess sodium increase inflammation in the body. And when your body is in a constant low-grade inflammatory state, your prostate can become more sensitive, swollen, and irritated. This can make urinary symptoms worse. From difficulty starting urination to that constant urge to go, even when your bladder isn't full. Spicy foods can also irritate the bladder and urethra directly, making things feel more urgent down there. I had a patient, Gary, 68 years old, who loved his nightly routine, a plate of spicy wings, a bag of salty chips, and a couple of beers. It was his treat after a long day, but over time, he noticed he was waking up twice as often at night to urinate, and he felt a dull ache in his lower abdomen. When we adjusted his diet, swapping in grilled salmon with herbs, steamed vegetables, and reducing the late-night salty snacks, within a few weeks, he told me, "Doc, I didn't realize how much better I could feel until now." If you're wondering what to do instead, here's my advice. Cut back on highly processed foods, fried meals, and heavy creams or fatty cuts of meat. Season smart. Use herbs, lemon, or mild spices instead of heavy salt or chili. Add in foods that actively support your prostate. Tomatoes rich in lycopene, leafy greens, berries, and healthy fats from fish, nuts, and olive oil. And remember, this isn't about never enjoying your favorite flavors again. It's about balance. Have that spicy dish once in a while. Just don't make it the backbone of your diet. Now, if you think spicy wings or salty snacks are easy to spot and avoid, the next habit is a lot sneakier. In fact, many men do it without even realizing it's harming their prostate, and it has nothing to do with food. Stick around, because you might be surprised to find you've been doing it for years. Now, let's move on to a habit that has become almost second nature for many men, sitting for long periods and not moving enough. It's easy to see why this happens. After retirement, many men spend more time reading, watching TV, or on the computer. And while these activities aren't bad in themselves, staying seated for hours on end can quietly put a lot of stress on your prostate. Here's why. When you sit for too long, blood flow to the pelvic region slows down. That means less oxygen, and fewer nutrients are reaching your prostate. Over time, this reduced circulation can lead to congestion in the area, kind of like water pooling in a stagnant pond. And stagnant blood flow creates the perfect environment for inflammation, swelling, and discomfort. It can also make existing urinary symptoms worse, because a congested pelvic region can press on the bladder and urethra. I remember my patient, Robert, 70 years old. He loved doing crossword puzzles and could sit for 3 or 4 hours straight without getting up. Over time, he started noticing a heavy, achy feeling in his lower pelvis and more frequent urges to urinate. When we introduced a simple routine, standing up every 30 minutes, taking short walks, and adding the light stretching exercises, his symptoms began to ease within just a few weeks. If you want to protect your prostate, here's what I suggest. Stand up and move at least every 30 to 45 minutes. Even just a minute or two of walking can help restore blood flow. Incorporate light activity into your day. Things like gentle stretches, pelvic floor exercises, or a short stroll after meals. Mix sitting and standing when possible. If you read or work on a laptop, try doing part of it standing at a counter. And here's the good news. You don't have to become a marathon runner to help your prostate. Small, consistent movement throughout the day makes a bigger difference than one intense workout once in a while. Now, you might think that sitting too much is an obvious habit to fix, but the next one is something most men do without even realizing it's harming their prostate. And it's not about what you eat, drink, or how much you move. Stick with me, because this one catches almost everyone by surprise. Now, let's talk about a habit that almost every man has done at some point. Holding in your urine. Maybe you're out running errands, maybe you're in the middle of a TV show, or maybe you just don't want to get up at night. Whatever the reason, you tell yourself, "I'll go later." Here's the problem. When you ignore your body's signal to urinate, you're keeping your bladder and prostate under unnecessary pressure. The bladder muscles have to work harder and harder to hold that volume, and over time, this can weaken them. And when your bladder is constantly stretched, it can also push against the prostate, aggravating any swelling or inflammation that's already there. On top of that, stagnant urine, sitting in the bladder for long periods, creates a perfect breeding ground for bacteria. That means a higher risk of urinary tract infections, which can easily spread to the prostate and cause prostatitis. And let me tell you, that's not something you want to experience. The pain, the burning, the constant urge, it's miserable. I remember a patient named Henry, 74 years old. He had a habit of waiting it out because he hated using public restrooms. He thought he was being smart by holding it until he got home. But after months of this, he came in with severe pelvic pain and a urinary tract infection that had reached his prostate. It took weeks of treatment before he felt normal again. So here's my advice. Listen to your body. When you feel the urge, go. Don't wait until it's uncomfortable. Create a routine. Aim to urinate every 3 to 4 hours during the day, even if you don't feel a strong urge. Time your fluids. Drink enough water, but avoid overloading your bladder right before long trips or bedtime. And remember, going just in case before leaving the house is fine, but consistently ignoring your body's signals is where the damage happens. You might think holding it in is harmless, just a minor inconvenience. But the last habit we're going to cover is something most men consider normal or even a sign of masculinity. Yet it quietly undermines prostate health more than almost anything else on this list. Stay with me, because you'll want to hear this one. Finally, let's talk about a habit that's deeply ingrained for many men, reaching for alcohol, coffee, or fizzy drinks far more often than our bodies can handle. Now, I'm not here to say you can never enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning, or a beer with friends, but over the years, I've seen how excessive use of these drinks can quietly wear down your prostate health. Here's what's happening. Alcohol, caffeine, and carbonated beverages are all bladder irritants. They can increase the urgency and frequency of urination, especially at night. Caffeine and alcohol are also diuretics. They make your body produce more urine, which means more trips to the bathroom and less rest. On top of that, they can contribute to dehydration, making urine more concentrated and more irritating to the urinary tract and prostate. There's also the impact on circulation and hormones. Heavy alcohol use can affect testosterone balance and overall blood flow, both of which are important for prostate and urinary health. I think of my patient, Samuel, 69 years old. He loved his morning coffee. Nothing wrong with that. But he also had a habit of drinking several cups throughout the day, followed by 2 or 3 beers in the evening. He didn't connect this with his worsening nighttime trips to the bathroom, or that persistent pressure he felt. Once we gradually cut his caffeine intake in half and swapped his evening beers for herbal tea, his nighttime urination dropped from 3 times to just once, and he told me, "Doc, I actually feel like I'm sleeping again." If this sounds familiar, here's what I recommend. Set limits, 1 to 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and keep alcohol to an occasional treat, not a nightly ritual. Stay hydrated. Drink enough water during the day to offset any dehydrating effects from caffeine or alcohol. Swap smart. Replace the late-night beer or soda with water, decaf herbal tea, or pomegranate juice, which actually supports prostate health. You don't have to quit everything you enjoy. Just give your body more of what helps and less of what harms. Small adjustments can make a big difference in how your prostate feels and functions. Now, we've covered 5 habits that can quietly chip away at your prostate health. But the real magic happens when you put the fixes together. And in the conclusion, I'm going to show you how to combine them into a daily routine that protects your prostate for the long run. So, we've walked through the 5 habits that can quietly chip away at your prostate health. 1. Not drinking enough water or drinking it at the wrong time. 2. Overloading on spicy, salty, and high-fat foods. 3. Sitting along with little movement. 4. Holding in your urine regularly. 5. Overdoing alcohol, coffee, and carbonated drinks. Individually, each of these habits might seem small, something you can shrug off for another day. But over time, they add up. They strain your prostate, irritate your bladder, and slowly take away the freedom and comfort you deserve in your daily life. Here's the good news. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. Real change, the kind that lasts, comes from small, steady steps. Maybe this week you start by drinking your water earlier in the day. Next week, you swap that late-night beer for herbal tea. And the week after, you make it a point to stand up and stretch every 30 minutes. Each change builds on the last. And before you know it, you're not just avoiding problems. You're actively creating a body that supports you, lets you sleep through the night, and keeps you feeling in control. I've seen it happen with my patients time and time again, men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who thought their days of comfort and confidence were behind them, only to find that, with a few consistent changes, they could reclaim both. One patient told me, "Doc, I didn't realize how much my life had shrunk until I got it back. That's what I want for you." Because taking care of your prostate after 60 isn't just about avoiding pain or avoiding the doctor's office. It's about protecting the parts of life that make it rich and meaningful, being able to travel without worrying about the next bathroom, enjoying time with your partner without discomfort, and waking up feeling rested and ready for the day. So here's my challenge to you. Think about the 5 habits we covered today, and pick just one to start changing this week. Drop the number of that habit in the comments below. Not for me, but as a promise to yourself. When you write it down, you're taking the first step toward making it real. And if this video has been helpful, I'd love for you to be part of this community. Hit the like button so more men can see this message. Subscribe so you don't miss the next tip that can make a difference for your health. And share this video with a friend or family member. You never know whose life you might help change. Remember, your prostate health is not just about your age, it's about your choices. And no matter how many birthdays you've celebrated, you still have the power to choose habits that keep you strong, confident, and in control. I'm Dr. William Harris. Thank you for spending this time with me, and here's to you, living your later years with strength, comfort, and pride.